Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another meal prep video. So today is a special meal prep video. I'm collaborating with one of my friends here on YouTube, Tiffanie from Simple Wife, Simple Life. We have become good online friends over the past couple months, and I know that if you don't already watch her channel, you will like her videos if you like mine. So she does kind of a lot of the same stuff that I do, dinner videos, she does some meal prep, she does family vlogs, and she has two cute little kids, and her husband is pretty funny too. So head over to her channel and subscribe if you're not already, and then after this video I'll leave a link on the end screen to her channel and her video as well, so you can check it out. But we thought we would collaborate on a summer meal prep video, and I thought it would be fun on my end to do a farmer's market meal prep. So Saturday mornings in my town we have kind of a smaller farmer's market. It's gotten bigger over the last several years, but I always love going down there. I think it's great to get like all the fresh produce, and plus you're supporting people here locally, and it's just, the food is probably so much better for you than if you're buying it in the regular supermarket. So my plan was to go down there this morning, which I did. I picked up a bunch of different things, and I don't exactly know quite yet what I am fixing for meal prep, but I have some ideas, and so kind of I'll let you know what I got all from the farmer's market, kind of the haul that I picked up, and then once I figure out what I'm going to make with these things and go over to the regular grocery store and get the rest of that, then I'll share that with you. So let me show you what I got. I did pick up a dozen eggs. They had someone selling farm fresh eggs, so I grabbed these, and then my stepdad just brought over 2 more dozen eggs, so I have a lot. One thing that I like to do, especially for meal prep with eggs, is to do either like the Starbucks copycat egg bites in the Instant Pot, or you can just make like mini little egg muffins out of them, or make a quiche or something like that. So that's probably what I'll do with some of those. Some of those I can probably also hard boil them. The kids like to have those in their lunches, or even make some deviled eggs out of them. I got some asparagus. This looked really good, so she said it was the last crop that she had of that, so I picked that up. I got this huge English cucumber. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, but I was thinking about maybe making some refrigerator dill pickles with it. So that's something that you can do that's super easy to do, and if you don't can, or if you don't know how to can, or you don't just, you don't want to deal with it, refrigerator pickles are awesome and super easy to make. I also found this purple cauliflower, which I thought looked super good and unique. I don't know if I'm going to like roast it for a side or have it raw, or what we're going to do with that yet, but I thought it was cool, and I thought the kids would think that was cool. They did have tomatoes, so I got 2 of the regular sized heirloom tomatoes, and then I got 2 pints of cherry tomatoes, which these look really good. I always like to keep these in the fridge washed up to have as snacks, or like have them on salads, or even do like a caprese salad with those. I got some lettuce. So this is a bag of homegrown lettuce. I actually bought this same thing 2 weeks ago, and we used it as a side for dinner one night as a salad. It was really good. And then I got some radishes, some red radishes and some white radishes. So I'll probably wash these, cut them up, and maybe do like some veggie and hummus or veggie and dip snack boxes. I did get 1 pint of strawberries. Connor has already gotten into these and said that they are really good. He said that whatever farmer made these is a really good farmer. But it's just funny how, you go to the grocery store and you see regular strawberries there, and they're like 4 times the size of this, and these are just so like little and sweet. These definitely won't last long. It's kind of a treat. But yeah, I would have bought more, honestly, but I didn't want to take away from other people. I felt like I would be greedy if I just bought like 4 boxes of them. Plus they were $4 a box. So anyway, got those. I got these microgreens. So these, she said they're like sprouts, kind of, so she said you just like trim them off. You can use them in salads and wraps, on a burger, just like you would lettuce. This one is broccoli. And then this one is a spicy mix. So I'm looking forward to trying those. And then I did get just some regular broccoli. I picked this up a couple weeks ago also, and it was really good. And then I have kind of an herb pot garden on my back deck. I always like to do that in the summer. That way we have fresh herbs for cooking and salads. And I hadn't gotten any rosemary yet, so I picked up one of those. I got some parsley, and then I have some basil out there already, but this one just looked really good and I couldn't pass it up. So I'll have to take these and go ahead and pot them out back. I got some spring onions, and then this lady was selling homemade bread, and so I got the 7 grain, which I thought looked really good. She said she just made these loaves last night. So I mean, the only thing to consider really when you're buying homemade bread like this is that it doesn't have the preservatives that, you know, normal bread from the grocery store would have. And so typically when you buy something like this, you either want to keep it in the refrigerator or even freeze a part of it if you know that you're not going to eat it, but don't just keep it out on the counter. It will definitely mold pretty fast. Got one of these cheddar Chex mixes. I picked this up a couple weeks ago. It's really good. And then they also have like non-food stuff, so different vendors selling like home decor and jewelry and stuff. So I thought these earrings were really fun. This doesn't have to do with food or meal prep, but I just thought they were fun. And then I also got some of this mint sugar scrub, body scrub. So I thought that was cool too. So that is everything I got. I'm going to get some of this in the fridge and try to plan out what I'm going to meal prep with all this stuff, and I will be back shortly. So you guys have been watching me for a while know that I love to collect cookbooks, and one of the cookbooks that I most recently got was this America's Test Kitchen Complete Make Ahead cookbook. And the reason I got it actually is because I do a lot of meal prep, and so this book has really great recipes and sort of instructions and strategies for making stuff ahead. And so I would recommend it. I'm going to be cooking a couple of recipes from it today, and so I'll let you know how those turn out. But I will link this on, I got it on Amazon. I think it was around $20, and it's a really large cookbook, so I will link that down below if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, anything America's Test Kitchen I totally love, and I would recommend without reservations. I have subscribed to their magazine, and they just put out awesome content. They really extensively test their recipes so you can have confidence when you're making them. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to show you guys everything I'm going to be making today. I will be washing my strawberries and other produce and making them into some smoothie packs. I'm also going to prep some stuffed poblano peppers for dinner one night. And then for lunches, I'm making a vegetable Panang curry, which is really good. I've made it before. Some prosciutto wrapped asparagus with that asparagus that I got today. Some rosemary potatoes that I will be prepping for a dinner. Also, this really unique couscous salad with microgreens, some mango salsa, which I've made this before, and it's really great to have in the fridge for meal prep, and then also some ham and cheese egg muffins for breakfast. So the first thing that I'm going to get started doing is just washing my produce. If you guys have watched my channel before, you know that I love my OXO salad spinner for washing produce. I just put my fruit or veggies or greens down in there, and I fill up the salad spinner with cold water and add a little bit of vinegar. I just let that soak, and then I rinse them off really well. And then I'm just going to put these in a dish with a paper towel. These sweet little strawberries I got at the farmer's market will definitely not last long in my house. My kids love strawberries. And so actually these were eaten the same day that I washed them, which is totally fine. Now I did go to the regular grocery store and get 4 pounds of just regular Driscoll's strawberries because they were on sale. And when they're on sale like that, I do like to stock up. My kids will definitely eat them if they're already cut up and in the fridge. And then the other part of them, if we don't get them eaten, I can put them in the freezer. And I'm actually going to show you guys how I make some smoothie packs for use during the work week. So if you're interested in picking up one of these salad spinners, I know a lot of you have messaged me and said that you have gotten one and you love them, but I'll link the one that I have. It's on Amazon. I believe it's like around $30. It's totally worth it. It will change your life as far as washing produce goes. So if you guys are new to my channel and you're coming over from Tiffany's channel, I just wanted to take a moment to say welcome. I am glad you're here and I hope you stick around. I am a full-time working mom. I have two kids. Kira is 10 and Connor is 6, and my husband works full-time as well. I am a nurse, but I work in more of an administrative role. I don't work in patient care anymore, and my husband is an engineer. So my channel is really all about inspiring and empowering women and working moms, and I even have some men that watch my channel too, so I don't want to leave you guys out. But I post a lot of different food content, family content, working mom vlogs, meal prep, and just different things that I hope that you can watch and take away tips for your daily life. So what I'm doing now is, after I got the strawberries cut up, I put those in a container. Those will be in the fridge for us to use this week. And then I took 4 bananas and just cut those up into smaller pieces. I'm putting 1 banana and a handful of strawberries into each Ziploc bag. I do want to get some stasher bags. I have 1, but I need to get more just to cut down on the Ziploc bag waste. But for now, this is what I'm using. So putting the fruit in there, these will go in the freezer and I will use them throughout the week for my smoothies. All right, the next thing that I'm getting started on for meal prep is some stuffed poblano peppers. This is a recipe that I found online, and I thought it would be perfect to use some of the ingredients that I got at the farmer's market today while making something that we could have for dinner later in the week. It just makes it so much easier to get food on the table after I get off work. So I'll link the original recipe down below. I believe it was from healthyrecipeblogs.com. I did make a few modifications, which I'll let you know as I go along here. But basically, I stuck to the main recipe of stuffing the poblanos with chicken and then cooking them in the oven. So what you see me doing here is just chopping up some onion and some fresh tomato. I'm putting that in a skillet along with some olive oil, a little bit of oregano, and some cumin, some salt, and this will be used for the chicken filling. So in addition, I'm going to chop up some cilantro. This came from my back herb deck on my back porch. I have fresh herbs growing out there. I love using those in the summer. So I'm going to saute the onions and the peppers in a skillet over medium-high heat until they are cooked and all of the liquid is evaporated. The original recipe called for shredded chicken, but I actually had a pound of ground chicken in my refrigerator that I needed to use up or freeze. And so I decided to use that in this recipe, and it actually worked out really well. It tasted really good, and I would probably make it like that again if I had it on hand. So once the veggies were mostly sauteed, I went ahead and put the chicken in there. I'm just seasoning that with some salt and pepper and a little bit of cumin, and then I will let that cook until all of the liquid evaporates off. So the next step is to prepare the poblano peppers so that you can stuff them. If I was going to make this recipe again, which I probably will, and I made a note on my original recipe, but I would definitely roast these peppers a little bit in the oven before I stuff them. I thought that when I baked them later in the week that the peppers were like a little bit firm for me. If you like that kind of thing, then I think it would be just fine. But for my preference, I would have liked them a little bit softer. So what I would probably do is just take the peppers, drizzle them with olive oil, and roast them for like 15 minutes in a 400-degree oven, just until they were a little bit soft, and then stuff them. But this is a great meal to prep and put in the fridge so that you can have it later in the week. I've also done stuffed peppers as a freezer meal before, and it turns out really good also. So you see me here just continuing to cook all of the liquid out of the meat mixture. You want to make sure that you do that so that it's not soggy or, sloppy or whatever when you try to stuff your peppers. After that is cooked, you can add your mozzarella cheese and your fresh cilantro. And this is a really, really delicious, spicy Mexican flavored stuffing for the peppers. If you've never had a poblano pepper before, they are a little bit spicy, but they're not quite as spicy as like jalapenos. So I think people that are sensitive to spicy things may still like them. I went ahead and divided the filling into 4 different sort of sections so that I knew that I had enough for each pepper. And then I'm just using a large spoon to stuff those and put them down into the tray. So the other modification that I made to this recipe was using some green enchilada sauce to put in the bottom of the pan to keep the peppers from sticking. And then I also poured some over the top too. I probably would recommend doing this just because I find that when I make stuffed peppers, I like to have some kind of like enchilada sauce or tomato sauce or just something to keep the peppers from getting really dry in the oven when you cook them. But that's just my personal preference. So you can see here that I have this all prepped. I went ahead and put the cheese on the top. I covered this with foil and stuck it in the fridge, and we had it in a few days, and it was a delicious dinner. So just another tip there if you are looking for ways to prep on the weekends that make your life easier during the week. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to show you guys is a vegetable Panang curry, and this is a recipe that I've made before on my channel. I've made it with chicken, I've made it with shrimp. It's really, really good. I'll link the original recipe down below, but I got this really neat purple cauliflower from the farmer's market, and I thought it would be perfect to make a veggie curry with. So really you can modify this recipe to include any protein or vegetables that you have on hand. I've put potatoes in it before, zucchini, peppers, chickpeas. The original recipe, I think, just calls for tofu, pepper, and onion. But like I said, anything that you have on hand that you want to use up is definitely great for this type of dish. So what you saw me there was just chopping up a yellow bell pepper. I'm putting that into a skillet along with some carrot and some olive oil. And this is what I will saute in the skillet, and it will be sort of like the base for my curry. I'm also going to add half of a white onion chopped up as well. So you just want to saute this over medium heat until the vegetables start to soften. At that point, I went ahead and added in my purple cauliflower, and I wanted to make sure that I got the cauliflower cooked through because there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than like raw veggies in a curry dish like this. I feel like everything needs to be soft and cooked through. So I just went ahead and sauteed the veggies for maybe about, 5 to 10 minutes, and then added my curry paste. I'm using red curry paste. You can use green curry paste or yellow, whatever you can find. I do like the red curry paste that I can get in the grocery store. And then I also added a little bit of garlic paste, and I also added just some regular curry powder. I had some red curry powder and some yellow curry powder on hand. I wish that I would have had more curry paste, but I was out. I just kind of used the last spoonful that was in the jar, but I do find that when I make this recipe, sometimes I have to add more curry paste than it actually calls for. But once I added all that, I went ahead and poured in 1 can of coconut milk, some water, and my chickpeas. You can see there that I'm adding just a little bit more curry powder. And at this point, you just want to kind of stir everything together, combine that curry sauce, and then just put a lid on it and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes or until all of your vegetables are tender. So once all the vegetables are cooked through, you will finish the sauce. So for the curry sauce, to finish it, you'll add some brown sugar, a little bit of peanut butter, some soy sauce, and some lime juice. I know the peanut butter sounds weird, but you really can't even taste it in the recipe. It kind of just gives this dish like a creamy consistency, and I don't know, it's really good. This is the best curry that I have ever made at home for sure. And like I said, I've made it a bunch of different times, modifying it with what I have on hand. So on the side, you can serve this with rice, or if you were trying to cut down on your carbs and you just wanted to do like a protein curry, you could definitely serve it with cauliflower rice as well. But here is the finished curry along with a little bit of jasmine rice that I cooked up. And this will be for lunches for us this week. So anytime that I'm going to prep a dish that we're going to reheat in the microwave, I always make sure that I put it in a glass container just because I don't like to reheat things in plastic typically. So I'm just going to spoon a little bit of that curry into each of the dishes, and then I actually like to put the rice on top so that it doesn't get too soggy as it sits in the fridge. But this will keep in the refrigerator all week, and it's great to take to work for lunch, or even if you don't work outside the home, it's great to just have in the fridge for a quick lunch during the week as well. So So to finish off this dish, I'm just chopping some fresh cilantro and putting that on top of the rice. I would recommend adding this. I think that it really sort of just finishes off the dish. So here is my prepped curry. So I have 3 meals for us to take to work this week. I actually ate it yesterday at work and it turned out delicious. Bonus, I wore a white shirt and I ate the curry and I didn't even get anything on my shirt because, you know, I like to live on the edge like that. But anyway, the next thing that I'm going to make is some prosciutto wrapped asparagus. So this awesome asparagus, I told you guys earlier, I got at the farmer's market, and I have been trying to find new ways to cook asparagus. Sometimes I find that if we just roast it or steam it, I don't know, we get tired of it. Asparagus is really good, but just trying to find new ways to use veggies like this, especially in the summer when they are plentiful and we want to get lots in our diet. So I was just kind of looking around on Pinterest and found some different recipes for prosciutto wrapped asparagus. So I didn't use a specific recipe per se. I just basically wrapped these in prosciutto. I'll sprinkle them with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and I roasted them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's really personal preference depending on how tender you want the asparagus. But yeah, this is super simple. You just saw me toss those asparagus with some olive oil and salt. Now I will say that if I make this in the future, I definitely will not salt the asparagus. I think that the prosciutto and the Parmesan cheese is salty enough, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would just recommend using olive oil. But after I wrapped these, I'm just placing them on a tray lined with parchment paper, and I did not necessarily meal prep these for the week ahead. I actually was doing them in the morning for dinner later that night. But once these are wrapped up, you can hold them in the refrigerator for, I would say, probably 2 to 3 days. And here's what they looked like after they were baked up. They were so delicious. Everyone loved them, and I will definitely be making them again. And like I said, it's something that you could definitely make ahead and have in the fridge to have during the week. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to prep is some radishes. So I got 2 different kinds of radishes at the farmer's market, white ones and red ones. I just trimmed the tops off, and I'll wash those in my salad spinner with a little bit of cold water and vinegar like you saw me doing earlier. This is going to be for some pearl couscous salad with radishes. This is a recipe out of the America's Test Kitchen Make Ahead cookbook that I mentioned earlier. So I did find some Israeli, I always called it Israeli couscous, but this recipe says pearl couscous, whatever you want to call it. I put that in a saucepan with a little bit of olive oil to toast up the couscous, and then I'm just adding in my water. And then this will kind of simmer on the stove until it is cooked through. Once it's cooked through, there will be a little bit of water left in the pot, so you can just turn the heat off, leave the lid, let it set for 5 to 10 minutes, and all that water will get absorbed. Okay, so while the couscous is cooking, I'm going to assemble the dressing for the salad. So for the dressing, you will need sherry vinegar. I actually couldn't find this in the grocery store, but I had white wine vinegar, which I used, and it turned out fine. Dijon mustard, some smoked paprika, sugar, and I think that's it for the actual dressing. So I'm just whisking this in the bottom of a bowl. Anytime I make like a pasta salad or any kind of salad with a dressing like this, I like to whisk my dressing in the bottom of the bowl that I'm going to mix the salad in, and then I can add all my sort of drier ingredients on top and then mix it together. So I'm going to cut my radishes into matchsticks. So I'm just cutting those into coins, and then I will slice them into the matchstick shape. You can see Connor telling me about his book there. And then I'll add those to the salad along with all the other ingredients. This also calls for scallions, which I was able to get at the farmer's market as well. Some chopped parsley, of course, the couscous. And then it does call for walnuts, which I didn't have any walnuts on hand, so I went ahead and used pecans, and it turned out just fine. It also calls for goat cheese. I personally like goat cheese, but Adam is not a huge fan of it, so instead I decided to use feta, and it worked out fine. The only thing I would change about this recipe maybe is I felt like for a meal prep that the salad was a little bit dry. I probably would have doubled the dressing recipe just to make sure that it stayed moist in the refrigerator. So once the couscous is done, I'm just spreading that on a greased foil sheet so that that can cool before I add it to the salad. You want to make sure that you do that so that the couscous doesn't stick together. Next, I'm going to chop up the rest of my fresh veggies and get that all mixed together. So the last thing that I'm going to do is add my feta cheese. You can see that Murphy is very interested in what I am doing here, although I'm not sure he would really like this dish very much, but it's always funny when I watch these videos back while I'm editing them and he's just like nosing around on the counter. So, okay, so I told you guys about these sprouts. Are they sprouts or microgreens? I don't know. I feel like I want to call them microgreens because I feel like that's way fancier. But either way, they're delicious. And again, I got them at the farmer's market. So I'm just rinsing those in my salad spinner. And if you are going to meal prep this salad, I would definitely recommend just putting the microgreens on top of the couscous and not mixing them in. Otherwise, they will definitely get soggy. So I just prepped these containers with the couscous in the bottom and the microgreens on top. This makes for an awesome lunch. It's a great vegetarian lunch, just an all around like really great fresh dish. And I would definitely consider making it again, just with the modification of making more dressing. So next, I had some extra radishes. I'm just going to simply cut these up and put them in a container so that we can have them during the week. One of the things that I really like to make sure that I do consistently on the weekends is to prep and chop my produce. I try to have like a variety of different prepped vegetables and fruits in the refrigerator all week long. It's so easy to just pull them out along with dinner. That way we can like eat them with maybe hummus or ranch dip. The kids have it for prepped for their lunches if I'm packing their lunches, and then fruit as well for, sides for dinner or breakfast for the kids. It just makes healthy eating a lot easier. I would definitely recommend it. So now I'm spilling potatoes all over the counter. I'm just going to prep some olive oil and rosemary roasted potatoes. So this is also something that you can do a couple days ahead. And you can see there on my phone that I'm actually watching Tiffanie. How apropos. Hi, Tiffanie. I always watch either YouTube or Skillshare or something while I'm meal prepping. But okay, so I put my potatoes in a Ziploc bag. I drizzled a little bit of olive oil in there and some salt. And then I'm chopping up some of the fresh rosemary that I got at the farmer's market and putting that in the bag as well. Again, this is something that we were going to eat later that night, but this is totally something you could prep ahead of time. You could definitely sort of toss your potatoes with your olive oil and whatever seasoning and herbs that you wanted, and then stick this in the fridge. I'm sure it would keep in the fridge for 5 days, I would think. I don't think there would be any problem with that. But then when you're ready to make them, all I did was basically just take them, put them in the air fryer, and I roasted them probably at, I don't know, don't quote me on this, like 400 for 20 minutes maybe. If you don't have an air fryer, you could put them in the oven too. But here's what they look like when they are done. Totally delicious roasted potatoes that you can prep ahead of time. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to prep is some mango salsa. So this was actually on our meal plan this week to have the mango salsa and chips along with those roasted poblano peppers. But mango salsa keeps in the refrigerator for, I would say, probably up to a week. It never lasts that long because we always eat it, but it's great to have in the refrigerator to eat with tortilla chips, or I also really like having it over like roasted salmon or chicken or shrimp. It's really good to have like some rice in the bottom of a bowl, like roast salmon fillet, put that on there and some mango salsa. Oh my God, so good. So this is just something that is easy to prep. It's super fresh and it just reminds me of summer. I don't know why. I love it so much. Obviously, we're not growing mangoes here in Iowa, so I couldn't get those at the farmer's market, but it's still a really fresh recipe that I love having around. So how I cut mangoes, I don't know. There's probably a better way, maybe an easier way to do this. I don't know. I'm just a white girl trying to to cut up a mango. I like to peel it with a vegetable peeler and then slice off as much of the flesh as I can with a knife, and then sort of just chop it into smaller chunks. So for mango salsa, you definitely want ripe mangoes, but you don't want them so ripe that they're hard to chop up. Like you don't want them mushy, if that makes sense. So just find ones that are a little bit soft, but not too soft. So I'm going to get all of that mango into the bowl, and then I will show you what else I add. This recipe actually was inspired by a video I watched of Tiffanie Beestons here on YouTube. Her channel is Beauty and the Beestons. She made a mango salsa, I think it was last summer, and I was like, oh God, I got to start making that. It looks so good. So that's kind of what I based the recipe of, and I will try to find that video for you and link it down below. So the next thing that I'm going to add is some red onion. I like using red onion in this recipe just for the color contrast, but you could use regular onion or green onion as well. Red pepper. I also like using red pepper because of the contrast of the colors. I just think that it's so pretty, and I feel like if I used yellow pepper, obviously it would just blend right in. So I would definitely use red or green pepper for this. And I try to cut everything into like the same size pieces, if that makes sense. Like it makes it easier to scoop up with chips that way. I'm going to add the juice of 2 limes. This citrus juicer is also available on Amazon. I can link it down below if you guys are looking for one. It's really great, and I use it very frequently in my kitchen. So I also like to add a little bit of honey, just depending on how sweet the mangoes are. If you have super sweet mangoes, you probably don't need to add the honey, but I did in this case because I had a couple that weren't that ripe. Lots of fresh cilantro. I love fresh cilantro. I know that there are some people that don't like cilantro. If you don't like it, I would suggest maybe just using green onions or maybe some parsley. I'm also going to mince up 1 jalapeno pepper. I did not include the seeds just because the kids were probably going to eat some of this and I didn't want it to be super spicy, but you could definitely include the seeds if you wanted to. I'm adding salt, pepper, a little bit of cumin powder, and that is basically it. So this is really good as is. You can serve it right away, although I think it does taste better as it sits in the fridge. So I'm just using a wide mouth funnel and a mason jar here, and I'm going to pour as much of that mango salsa in there as I can. This is a great way to store it in the refrigerator. I had a little bit extra, and so I went ahead and put that in a different dish, and that way I could take that to work for lunch one day this week. And there you have it, fresh mango salsa to keep in the refrigerator for eating throughout the week. The other thing I wanted to show is how I store my celery once I wash it up. So I do just store it in a mason jar with water. That is what keeps it the freshest for me. And then the scraps I put in the freezer and use it later to make chicken or beef stock out of. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you guys is some egg muffins. So I definitely like to prep these for us to have for breakfast during the week. They're super easy to reheat in the microwave, and I'm smelling the ham because I'm weird. It was seriously like a new package of ham that I opened, and I was like, does this feel okay? Does this smell okay? It did, but I wanted to verify. So, you know, always smell your food. Just a tip there. This recipe is actually an Instant Pot recipe. I have made it in the Instant Pot plenty of times, but it's also easy to make in muffin cups like you see me doing here. I have these silicone muffin cups. I think that they're great for this. I use them mostly for this recipe, but other, muffin recipes as well. But basically you're just going to put your eggs, a little bit of cream, or you could use half and half or milk, some cottage cheese, hot sauce, Dijon mustard, shredded cheese, salt and pepper into a bowl. And I use an immersion blender to mix all of this up. I have a Cuisinart one that's pretty inexpensive. I can link it down below. That's what the original recipe calls for, but I've even heard people that haven't used a blender and they've just mixed this up with a whisk and it works out just fine. So once you mix all of the eggs together, again, I got these eggs at the farmer's market, so they were super fresh and delicious. I sprinkled my diced up ham, or you could use, sausage, bacon, veggies, whatever you want, in the bottom of the muffin cups. I added some chopped up scallion, and then I'm just going to pour the egg mixture over the top. This made 10 egg muffins, which is just perfect for Adam and I to have 2 each day during the week. Or no, I guess if we were each going to have 2 each day, that would be what? That would be 20. Learn how to add, Jennifer. Either way, they are delicious. Here's what they look like when they are done. I hope you make them and I hope you enjoy them. So that brings us to the end of this week's meal prep video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you visit Tiffany's channel and watch her meal prep video. I know that you guys will love her, and I will see you next time. Bye.